handed us over a country that was in very serious trouble. He made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad, because, he's in financials. I've always been fine.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Let me just, I just want to be clear about this.
As I sit here and watch the billionaire former reality TV star / convicted felon wreak absolute havoc on the US economy at the benefit of his fellow billionaire / expensive everyday working people, I often find myself thinking, imagine Obama did this. The man who was demonized for wearing a tan suit, raked over the coals for golfing too much. Yes, imagine that.
This has been an awful week for jobless Americans, the economy, the stock market, and yet the president ended it by playing golf.
As the American economy burns, I am happy to report the president successfully completed his 116th round of golf.
The market's bad. Should our president really be on the golf course?
97 rounds of golf. The economy's falling apart.
The economy could enter into another recession. Now, the White House took great care yesterday to make sure the president was barely seen as he headed out on a big golf outing.
Most Americans seem struggling with the economy right now, loss of jobs, and they see a guy out on the golf course all the time.
Our economy is a train off the rails, and this president is busy golfing.
This is the Doral. This is the clubhouse. It's just beautiful. Trump does things first class, and I think that's why the golf world loves him, because he loves the golf world.
So I can't help but wonder, what would the response be if he lost over $6 trillion in market value during the first quarter of his term?
The president's side has said no pain, no gain. But the charts show no gain. So right now, it's not, I want to keep it simple. Yeah. It's not no pain, no gain. It's pain.
It's pain.
No gain. And so we have 100 days, very rough barometer. But in fairness to Trump, we can show you the first Trump is the light red. You've seen this. Biden and Obama there. Biden was held accountable for many things, including inflation, which was a problem. But by this measure, with the rising recession risk, no gain, loss, is it going to get worse?
I think it's hard for it to believe it's not going to get worse.
How do you think Republicans would react?
Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. You're laughing, but no, this is what's happening.
In a week that saw President Trump cause more confusion and disarray to the point that economic uncertainty was off the charts.
He's also trying to market this as the fact that he paused the tariffs, and he absolutely did not. He canceled the reciprocal tariffs, but we are still, as Dana said, tariffing the entire globe 10%, even the people that we have good relationships with, like Australia. And there was questioning of Jameson Greer, our trade representative, earlier this week about why we're possibly doing that. And he had absolutely no answer for it. The Yale Budget Lab just came out with new figures based on yesterday's tariff numbers that says that this will cost each American household $4,400. This is the highest tariff rate since 1909.
Who came up with that?
The Yale Budget Lab.
Oh, not the Yale Budget Lab.
Oh, I'm sorry that I didn't pull it out of a cartoon or something wherever you got your point.
We'll see it tomorrow everywhere else.
No.
The Yale Budget Lab.
Why are you making fun of smart people?
I was brought back to this speech from last week in which former President Barack Obama warned that Americans may have to, quote, possibly sacrifice if they want to stick up for democratic values. This as he encouraged universities and law firms to resist intimidation from President Donald Trump's administration. He spoke at Hamilton College in New York this past Thursday, and he said he was, quote, troubled by the idea that a White House would suspend the security clearances or order federal agencies to cancel contracts to firms connected to political rivals. Before going on to pose the question that myself and many others often ask ourselves as Trump plays chicken with people's retirement funds, imagine if he had done any of this.
The most important office in this democracy is the citizen, the ordinary person who says, no, that's not right. I do think one of the reasons that our commitment to democratic ideals has eroded is that we got pretty comfortable and complacent. You know, it has been easy during most of our lifetimes to say you are a progressive, or say you are for social justice, or say you're for free speech and not have to pay a price for it. And now we're at one of those moments where, you know what, it's not enough just to say you're for something. You may actually have to do something and possibly sacrifice a little bit. So, yeah, if you're a law firm being threatened, you might have to say, okay, we will lose some business because we're going to stand for a principle. If you are a university, you may have to say, figure out, are we in fact doing things right? Have we in fact violated our own values, our own code, violated the law in some fashion? If not, and you're just being intimidated, well, you should be able to say, well, that's why we got this big endowment. You know, we'll stand up for what we believe in, and then we'll pay our researchers for a while out of that endowment, and we'll give up the extra wing or the fancy gymnasium that we can delay that for a couple of years because, you know, academic freedom might be a little more important.
The former president went further when talking about Trump 2.0, targeting of colleges and universities which have seen their federal grants threatened if they don't fall in line. Reuters recently reported that, for instance, the Trump administration is looking to block $510 million in grants for Brown University, and it has already stripped $400 million in federal grants and funding from Columbia University and has reportedly set conditions for Harvard University also. These conditions include banning the use of masks and eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. But he also took aim at the president for barring certain outlets from the White House press room, stating, quote, "Imagine if I had pulled Fox News credentials from the White House press corps."
It's unimaginable that the same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me or a whole bunch of my predecessors. So, and I say this not on a partisan basis. This has to do with something more precious, which is, who are we as a country and what values do we stand for?
Obama's remarks represent some of his sharpest and transparent criticisms of his successor since he was on the 2024 campaign trail.
And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing.
And they're desperately needed as we bear witness to the repercussions of Trump 2.0. It has never been more apparent that the current administration has absolutely no intention of following through with any of their campaign promises to lower prices, combat inflation, or the cost of living.
Now, despite a drop in wholesale egg prices last month, retail prices jumped to a new record high, $6.23 per dozen, just ahead of Easter, which the Agriculture Secretary today called the Super Bowl of eggs. She predicted that retail prices will drop soon. Wholesale costs did not start falling till mid-March. Economists say not enough time to pass on that savings to consumers. Brett.
Where we are in the markets is a much worse place than where we started. For all the ups and the downs and whatever, the market is well below where it was before the president decided to embark on this craziness. The dollar is much weaker. Our treasury yields have gone up significantly, which raises the cost of borrowing for the government and exacerbates the deficit problem that you well know we already had. So nothing good has happened out of all this, and a lot of bad stuff has happened out of all this. I have no idea where the president is going. Nobody does. He probably honestly has no idea where he's going on this. This is the worst economic policy making I've seen in 50 years of hanging around economic policy. My border colleague could do a better job of managing this economy than this administration has done so far. What you're hearing from the Treasury Secretary, from others, is honestly just kind of gobbledygook. It makes no sense. Nobody would have said this is the road we should go down. You're not going to be able to buy that new iPhone at any reasonable cost very shortly if all this sort of stuff stays in effect. And let me make one last point, Joe. I just came back from 4 days in Europe. I was in London. I was in Germany. I was in Sweden. The loss of confidence in America is extraordinary. They do not view us as not a reliable ally, not even a predictable ally. And they are really scared. They are going to try to get their act together. Europe is a complicated place, but Trump has done incredible damage to the American brand in all these countries, and total loss of confidence in what was always thought of as great American leadership on the world stage.
Instead, the current president is more focused on sending troops to the Panama Canal, further imposing his wish to annex the territory as well as Greenland, and continue to alienate our allies with his inflammatory tariff policy, which has left the American people feeling completely disjointed, many of whom voted for their own demise.
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more and you were going to lose money?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money.
I mean, it's no secret that former President Obama was held to a completely different standard, but there just seems to be no standard too low for the current commander-in-chief.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.